how to do a quitclaim deed in Georgia. Welcome back. I'm Ted Thomas, and I've been involved in real estate since 1970. But in this episode, I'm going to cover how to do a quitclaim deed in Georgia. Now, it's a quit claim. It's not quick, it's quit. Q-U-I-T, not quick. So try to keep that in mind. People make a lot of mistakes with that. So quit claim. So this is a big and very common misconception. So let's straighten out a lot of those misconceptions on this particular video. So when it comes to deeds, you'll know a lot about deeds by the time I finish this video. You'll understand a lot and you'll get a lot of new education. Okay, now to cover this lesson, I also need to add that I'll explain redeemable deeds in Georgia. This is different than other states, redeemable deeds. You'll also learn the difference between tax liens and tax deed investments, which is where you make the really big bucks. At the very end of this video, I'll cover 2 mistakes that you want to avoid, so hang in till the end so that you'll learn how to avoid those mistakes, and they take place at the tax defaulted auction, and I'll explain both of those on the very end of this particular video, so stay tuned, I'll be right back. Now, first of all, I need to tell you I'm not an attorney, I'm not a CPA, and I'm not a real estate broker. I'm an experienced tax lien and deed buyer. I've spent my life in real estate, so I'll be able to give you a lot of information, but I'm not an attorney, so I'm not giving you legal advice. Now, most people don't understand the difference between these deeds. So let's first talk about tax liens first. Briefly, you could earn anywhere from 12% on Long Island in New York, all the way to 36% in Illinois, 18% in Florida. In the old days, some of the tax certificates paid all the way up to 50%. But today you can earn 12% to 36%, depending upon which state and which county you decide to buy in. Now we're going to talk about Georgia today. Georgia has 159 counties, and Georgia sells at auction a redeemable deed. In other words, when you go to the auction, they sell you the deed to the property. Now that deed is redeemable. That simply means that the owner can come back any day from day 1 to day 365 and redeem that property. So you do not get possession of the property in Georgia. So let me say that again. You're going to a tax defaulted auction. You do not get possession. You get a redeemable deed that gives you a right to earn a minimum of 20% on any day that the property owner comes in and pays the tax. So if they come in on day 1, you'll earn 20%. If you come in on day 50, you'll earn 20%, or day 365. It doesn't matter which day they come in the course of the year, you'll get all your money back plus 20%. And that's why people flock to Georgia. That's a redeemable deed. So the property owner has time to come back and redeem their property. However, you get an outrageous interest rate while you're waiting. Now, it's really not an interest rate, it's a penalty. There's 4 other penalty states, which I'll talk about on these videos. Georgia is definitely a penalty state. Now, what is this video episode all about? It's all about quitclaim deed in Georgia. Well, a quitclaim can take place in any state, not just Georgia. Now, a quitclaim is a claim that they're disclaiming. They're not asking for anything. They've quit, and that means if you get a quitclaim deed from anyone, whether it's the county, whether it's an individual, they're basically disclaiming that they have any knowledge of what's going on the property or any knowledge on what's going on in the title. In other words, they are taking no responsibility. So if you receive a quitclaim deed, you now have a document that says whoever gave it to you is disclaiming any responsibility. That's a long way from a redeemable deed. A redeemable deed is going to give you a 20% return in 1 day or 365 days. All right, so lots of confusion could take place here. Number 1, a quitclaim deed means the county or whoever is giving it to you is disclaiming any responsibility, not only in the property itself, but also in the title to the property. All right, so you're getting it. All right, now if you go and look up it in Wikipedia, they're going to tell you exactly that a quitclaim deed is nothing more than a grantor granting you the rights. All right, well, if they don't have any rights, they're going to disclaim all those rights. So you're the grantee, you're the one that's going to accept all that. So a grantor is the one that's giving you the quit claim deed. It won't matter whether it's in Georgia, Texas, Washington, any one of the 50 states. If you're getting a quit claim deed, who's ever giving it to you is getting rid of responsibility. That's the way it works. All right, now if they're disclaiming the responsibility, that means you're taking on the responsibility. So if you receive from the county a quit claim deed at a tax auction, that means you're more than likely going to have to go out and do what's called a quiet title. I don't have time on this video to explain quiet title, but I can assure you that it'll cost you $3,000 or $4,000, and it's going to take 3 or 4 months to do it. You'll have to have an attorney do it. Okay. Now, there could be one last thing that we haven't talked about, and that's a contract for deed. Now, what is that? That's simply an installment contract. So there's a little bit to learn in deeds, so I'm giving you good insight today, and so I'm going to do a couple of questions, and that'll be all I'll be able to get done on this particular video. Okay, so what are comps? Well, people like to use abbreviations. Comps means comparables. So if someone's saying comps, that's just slang. All right, what you really want is you want comparables. So if you're going to buy a property, you want to know the value of the property. So how would you do that? Well, you could look at the multiple listing system. You could look at Zillow. You look in the county records. You could go up and down the street and ask people the values. I mean, you could find value. All right, so all of the things that I just mentioned are comparables. So you could compare the neighborhood. You could compare on MLS. You could compare on Zillow. All right, so people are using comps. They're just abbreviating it. So a good question was, should you go to a sale and see how it works? You should definitely go to sale, which is like a piece of cake today, because a lot of the sales are online. So you can go to online sales. You could do, there's going to be multiple sales every day. There's over 5,000 tax auctions. So yes, that is the thing to do. It would be better, in my opinion, to go to live sales because you get a better deal. But either way, go to the sale and see what's happening. At a live auction, you'll have a complete different feel than you will for an online auction. Okay, so let's talk about those two big mistakes. Number one, people show up at the auction and they right away start bidding. They're really excited, so they want to get going. You don't want to bid at an auction if you haven't seen the property. Why? What if there was a hurricane? What if there was a big storm and there was a flood? What if there was a fire? Something might have happened to that property since you last looked at it. So if you've not looked at it, don't bid at all. If you have looked at it, it has to be recent, very close to the auction time. So looking at a property, a lot of people don't do it, and then they get in big trouble and they lose a lot of money because the property isn't any good when they get there. So that's number one. Number two, you don't want to bid in an auction unless you have an exit strategy. So if you don't know what you're going to sell the property for, how can you plan on bidding? You could easily bid too high. So what you want to do is you want to plan your purchases. So you need to know exactly what the property is worth, what you can sell it for, and what you can sell it for quickly before you start bidding at auction. That's called an exit strategy. All right, folks, if you learned a lot in these lessons, we have a lot more for you, and all you have to do is join my community. Now, I have a gift for you if you do join the community, and all you have to do is go below me, but the gift is a quick start. Now, what does quick start mean? It's just a short course that's online that you can start right away learning about tax liens and deeds. The first part of the quick start is about tax lien certificate. The second part is all about tax deeds. You can learn both of those, and you can do that. Just go below me. It's a free course. It's my gift to you.